Welcome back. Egyptian Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation, Rania Al-Mashat, emphasized the depth of the relation between Egypt and the World Bank Group and its institutions. And to shed more light on this topic, we will have this report.
Egyptian Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation, Rania Al-Mashat, emphasized the depth of relationship between Egypt and the World Bank Group and its institutions. She highlighted the government's efforts to strengthen partnerships with development partners from international institutions, noting that Egypt holds one of the largest World Bank portfolios in the Middle East and North Africa region. Mashat's remarks came during a virtual meeting on Saturday with Osman Joan, Vice President of the World Bank Group for the Middle East, North Africa, Afghanistan and Pakistan. The discussions focused on enhancing cooperation and reviewing key areas of mutual interest. Mashat underscored Egypt's collaboration with the World Bank to advance economic development by leveraging the bank's global expertise and resources. She discussed the future projects with the bank and preparations for the upcoming annual meetings of the World Bank Group scheduled for this October.
And now we're so delighted to be accompanied over the phone by Dr. Ayman, the economic expert, to shed more light on this topic. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam.
Well, of course, Doctor, Egypt currently holds one of the largest World Bank portfolios in the Middle East and in Africa. How this can signify Egypt's position when it comes to development?
Well, actually, as we said many times before, that the Egyptian economic diplomacy has profound objectives, and those objectives have been asserted during the term of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. One of the important objectives of the Egyptian economic diplomacy is procuring or fetching finance in just and easy terms to facilitate the economic development of Egypt and achieving sustainable economic development. Egypt is now trying to treat its long-term chronic problem, which is that its economy was a rentier economy. Egypt is now trying to shift to a production-based and service-based economy, and doing so, Egypt is trying to capitalize on its competitive advantages, several competitive advantages, including, of course, its position, its abundance of labor, the superb infrastructure that was developed during the period of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, as well as its the free floating of its currency, leading, of course, to more competitive prices of labor.
Well, Dr. Ayman, of course, during the meeting, there were a lot of topics have been discussed, including upcoming projects in health, infrastructure, social protection. So can you tell us more about those, the meeting, the negotiations?
Well, actually, as I told you, that the cooperation with the World Bank and the other international financial institutions, this cooperation focuses on financing the strategically important sectors for the Egyptian economy and the sectors that build its competitive advantages, of course, including the health, the infrastructure, the small and medium-sized enterprises, the sector of renewable energy, the manufacturing industries, and the localization of the inputs of industries. Now, Egypt now is trying, as I said, to shift its economy to treat its long-term chronic problem of being a rentier economy, and to shift towards more production-based and service-based economy. And in the heart of this process lies its efforts to bring finance and especially dealing with the World Bank Group and its financial arm, the International Financial Corporation, which focuses on the finance of the private sector, especially in the promising fields like renewable energy.
Well, of course, Dr. Al-Mashot emphasized the national narrative for economic development. What exactly does this narrative represent?
Well, the Egyptian narrative for economic development, it represents one of the documents that Egypt uses to address the whole world. We know that the national planning law, I think number 18 for the year 2022, it mandates that the Egyptian government must have documents, must have planning documents to address the business community, whether locally or regionally or internationally. We have the state-owned enterprises policy. We have the major strategic directions for the presidential term 2024 to 2030, and now we issued the national narrative for economic development, and the narrative actually it sums up the previous documents, and it sheds light on the major directions and strategies for Egypt to develop into a production-based economy to achieve sustainable economic growth, sustainable development, and to capitalize on its competitive advantages, especially in relationship to the changes that the world now is facing, whether geopolitically or economically.
Well, Doctor, Egypt's economy achieved a growth rate of 4.5% this fiscal year. So what factors contributed to embracing, surpassing these expectations?
Well, as you said, the Egyptian economy achieved 4.5% as a real economic growth, and by the term real economic growth, this is the economic growth of the real economy without looking at the increases in prices. Of course, one of the important aspects here is the infrastructure projects, the mega projects undertaken by the government under the leadership of President El-Sisi to modernize the Egyptian infrastructure, and also the focus that the government has been putting on the manufacturing industries. Now Egypt aspires at increasing the share of its manufacturing industries from around 14% of the GDP to around 20% by the year 2030. This is according to the strategy of the industrial development in Egypt. And it aspires at creating from 7 to 8 million jobs, to increasing its non-oil exports to around $100 billion. These efforts started several years ago, and we've seen the fruits of such efforts, as you said, in the high rate of growth of 4.5%. And next year, actually, the major financial institutions in the world, like the IMF and the World Bank, they expect that our economic growth will be from 4 to 4.2%. Of course, this is higher than the world average, which is normal, of course, because we are a developing economy. But of course, not all developing countries can achieve higher economic growth than the world average. So this signifies that we are on the right path. Now, as we know, the long-term economic growth goal for Egypt is 7%, and this was mentioned in its policy of state-owned enterprises and in the strategic document of the presidential term 2024 to 2030, and 7% targeted, because if we achieve 7% for the whole decade, then we'll be able to double the size of our economy, and then we can use different mechanisms of social justice and increasing the minimum wages and the social welfare expenditure to equitably divide the fruit of such development on different classes.
Well, Dr. Ayman Ghonem, I would like to thank you so much for these very important information. The economic expert now, ladies and gentlemen, a short break and we'll be back.